So a variety of choices were made by the international brands following February 22 conflict that took place with Ukraine. So you can see many things happen, many different solutions. Some companies sold business to the local partner or local management without the international brand rights. Like, for example, McDonald's is a good example. They sold its business to a local franchisee, it changed its name. Some companies sold business or stopped business in the country, like Valio, a Finnish dairy producer, sold its operations to a local producer without international brand rights. All the names were changed. That's it. Some companies, so they basically sold their plants, operations. Some companies stayed, but removed the international brands from the portfolio. A good example is PepsiCo. They replaced Pepsi and other carbonated drinks brands with Everness. They just renamed it. They kept Lay's, by the way, so it's not like they removed all brands, but some international brands. Coca-Cola Hellenic, which is obviously the distributor for Coca-Cola in many of countries in Europe, including Russia, stayed using local brands only. And they have a lot of local brands. Heineken removed international brands, but also launched new local brands. Obviously, there are changes since then. Heineken just sold its business, but I couldn't update my presentation every 5 minutes. It's more for the test case at a certain amount of snapshot at a certain amount point in time. I'm happy to answer any questions if there will be. Some companies, moving on, removed a key product from the product portfolio. For example, Nestle removed Kit Kat. They said, oh, this is how we're going to deal with that. We'll take out Kit Kat from Russian portfolio, and this will be our answer to this story. Kellogg's removed Pringles. Some companies stayed with the same company and product brands, reducing the marketing investment. Example, Mondelez or Mars. And some companies announced their exit, publicized it, but stayed. Like Bacardi and Pernod Ricard. They said, oh, we're leaving. A year later, they're still leaving. Nothing changed. So this is just how things played out. And I wanted to show you that there are all different stories that played out. We see in the news all variety of things, but if we were to summarize it, this is how I would summarize it. And what happened there, just to get into more detail, international companies often replace their international brands with the local ones. For example, Pepsi, I mentioned, renamed things to Everness. Valio became Viola once they sold their plants. But Viola is the Russian brand that used to be there during Soviet times even. Nesquik in Nestle started using Russian name. Polik became Poeti. Danone switched to Russian brand. Coca-Cola switched to Russian brand, which they owned. And they basically either reduced their product portfolio. Important to say, the companies exited or reduced their product portfolio. So the other producers have stepped in, both Russian and international. So it's not just that Russian companies stepped in and grew their share, which we'll see, but also international companies. With the inflation and financial consumer pressures, the unit sales have come down, but the sales grew because, so they started all selling less, but the sales grew because the prices have gone up quite a bit. And because the number of companies have reduced to stop marketing investments, it really helped their profitability. Imagine if all of us stop marketing by most part. We'll save marketing money and we still have the same sales, more or less. Amazing, huh? Maybe let's leave BTL marketing. And it's not a bad solution. And that's what happened. That's why it's such a fascinating case. Also, one thing to show you. So if you look at top 10, we don't really have time to go into too much detail. And I know it's written, some of it is written in Russian because the brands are Russian brands. They don't appear in English. But you can see PepsiCo is number 2. And the PepsiCo story is interesting. It was number 1 a year before that. But because they killed their main brand, it allowed another manufacturer who bought certain brand rights from other producers to get ahead. And you can see AB InBev FS is doing well here. Baltica is just before that. Danone, Mars, Nestle, KDV is the Russian group, Mondelez, and Multon. So you can see many producers here are international. Most of them. Multon is Coca-Cola. Sorry, I didn't clarify that. It's what's left of Coca-Cola in Russia. Any questions here? Because I know I'm not talking too much about these slides, but I just wanted to show you some developments. Okay. I wanted to continue and show you a case of Coca-Cola because I think it's very interesting. I took these pictures in Перекресток in Moscow in July. I was there. Перекресток is the X5 supermarket chain. I took all Coke drinks that exist on the shelf and put them next to each other. First in plastic bottles, then in cans on top and glass bottles. So this is all like two shelves apart. And you can see if you're looking for a single consumption Coke, actually, no, the bottom is single consumption. The top is, sorry, single consumption. Pictures are not to scale. The top is single consumption. You can see how many Coke choices are there. Before I talk about it, let's talk about my comments on the right to clarify the picture. Coca-Cola discontinued Coca-Cola production in Russia, switching to Dobry Cola. It's this can over here. Produced by Multon Partners, owned by Coca-Cola HBC. Exit of Coca-Cola brand led to multiple cola drinks being launched by just about everyone, including Heineken, because this one is launched by Heineken. This is Heineken produces Royal Cola. So what happened? Before we talk about what happened, I'll just show you who is who here. Dobry Cola is Coca-Cola. Rich Cola is Coca-Cola. Avernus is Pepsi. Volchok Cola is the Russian local beer manufacturer making cola now. Cola from Chernogolovka. This is Russian soft drinks manufacturer making cola. This is Heineken making cola. This is cola imported from Germany, Bio Cola. Cool Cola is this is Ochako, another Russian beer manufacturer making cola. And this is private label cola. If we go down to large bottles and skip the ones I already told you about and talk about the ones that I haven't, Pepsi is imported from Uzbekistan. Coca-Cola is imported from Azerbaijan. Любимая Cola is made by Pepsi locally, looks completely like Coca-Cola, tastes like Coca-Cola. I bought that. And Presso is from Azerbaijan and G-Cola, I think, from Turkey. One of them is from Presso is from Turkey and G-Cola is from Azerbaijan. That's how they. So you see how many things appeared. Before it used to be just 2/3 of the market was Coke, Coca-Cola, 1/3 Pepsi. Now it's everybody. On top of it, there's also imported cola from all different countries you can see in stores, from Poland, Germany, Denmark, UK, Italy, Azerbaijan, imported Pepsi as well, because Pepsi and Cola discontinued their brands. So all this happened. The market suddenly used to have like 2 players plus a little bit of private label and a little bit of third producer. Suddenly got 30 choices. But still, if you look at market shares, Coca-Cola direct-to-placement Dobry Cola was launched at 30% lower price than Coca-Cola itself and claimed 34% market share in first quarter. Amazing taste study. So they launched Dobry Cola. People haven't seen this brand on cola, only on juices before. And it gets 34% market share in 1 quarter because imported cola is very expensive and there's no Coca-Cola substitute, and that's the best one. Additionally, the Coca-Cola itself, the imported one, from 17 plus countries I counted, by different importers. Everyone can import it. There's no import. It's allowed now because Coca-Cola itself is not producing it, so you can import it. Claims 14% market share. So this exercise of Coca-Cola exiting the market resulted in Coca-Cola keeping their market share more or less, but at the same time, but in this odd way, you can see that locally producing it and also their products being brought in from abroad.